This is what the tic-tac-toe game looks like. So our board, we're going to have a 3x3 board. So let's have that, a 3x3, let's say a 2D array. A 3x3 board. And after that, we're going to initialize the board. Initially, we'll have all the empty spaces. We'll have all the empty spaces. So what we can do is row is equal to 0, row is less than board dot length, and row plus plus for int column is equal to 0, column is less than board of row dot length, column plus plus. We're just going to initialize it as empty. Empty. All right. So now we have it as empty. Now we all know how the game of tic-tac-toe works. There are two things you have to think about over here. Kunal, how are we going to place the elements, which is X or 0? So let's say your current player, if we talk about the current player, let's say it can either be your X or it can be your circle. We all know this. So first, let's say X place. So X goes over here. Now it will ask you, where do you want to play the current another move? You're like, okay, I want to play it over here, let's say. Then we're like, okay, where do you want to play the other move? I want to play it over here, for example. Where do you want to play the other move? I want to play it over here, for example. Where do you want to play the other move? So you can either be like, I want to play here or I want to play here or whatever. So we need to figure out a few things. So here, first thing we have to think about is how it's going to take input. So you have your player, which is X or 0. So it'll be like X or O, that now X is playing, so next time O will play, then next time X will play, next time O will play. This will keep on going till the game is not over. Keep on going till the game is not over. Now game will be over when there's like a same number of characters in either diagonal or row or column. So for example, this is a winning situation, right? This is a winning situation. So you get the idea how players win. Diagonal can be a winning situation. Okay, so we'll talk about the gaming winning algorithm later on. But firstly, we have to figure out how do we input the elements over here. So ideally, all the things are character. It's a character 2D array, so it's empty. And we will have just one variable called, let's say, current player that we have over here. So if we can say that my char player, initially, let's say it starts with X. Initially, it starts with X. And I'll have a Boolean game over. Initially, it's false because my game is not over right now. Okay. And we have to take input as well. The scanner is equal to new scanner system.in. No problem. Now we're going to run a loop. Now we're going to say that while my game is not over, not game over, I will, first of all, for every move, now in this loop, you will have every move. Okay, think about it. Look at the diagram. Think about it. What do we want to do? We want to, first of all, print the board so that the person will be like, okay, this is the board. Now I want to place somewhere. I will let you know where I want to place. So print the board first. So I will say, print the board. I have to create this function. I'll create it here. Public static print the board. Okay. Void. And it will print the board. We'll fill that later on. Now we want to say that enter your how are we going to take the input? We can ask it for rows and columns. So you can be like, hey, I want to, let's say 0, 1, 2 indices, 0, 1, 2. So you want to place over here, then you can be like, I want to place at 0, 2. Okay, no problem. So you can be like player enter. So coordinate, I can say int row is equal to, now going to change. Let's say we can have a new int row, and I can say this can be scanner dot next int, and int call is equal to scanner dot next int. This is going to get the coordinate. Now you have to first check if this coordinate is already full or not. If it's not empty only, then you will do it. So if board of row and column is equal to empty, then only do it. Otherwise, just say system.out.println invalid move. Invalid move. Try again. But when the move is not invalid, what are we going to do? We are going to place the element. So place the element. So you can just say board of row call is equal to player, which will either be x or y, sorry, x or 0. And game over, it's going to be equal to, if you have one, who has one? In this particular board, the player, if the player has one. Now this we have to create, right? We would have to create this algorithm. So I'll just add it over here. Public static boolean has one, and char board char player, we're going to have to think about that algorithm as well. Okay, so game over. Now here you're going to say that if game is over, then you can just print current player has one. Player has one, right? Otherwise, my current player is going to switch. So player is going to be equal to, let's say I can switch it, like let's say I can say if my player is equal to x, player switch to O, else player is equal to x. Okay, so if player was x, it will be O, otherwise it will be x. You can also write it in the short one line inline format, using the question mark. I can show you that as well. Okay, so I can just say player is equal to, let's say, if player is equal to x, if that is true, then it will return O, otherwise it will be x. Okay, very simple stuff. That's it. Now afterwards, what we're going to do is the final board game we're going to print, like I'm going to say print board, and that's it. Sounds good. Now we just have to create these, just fill these. Print board is simple. Print board is very simple. So let me just copy paste this. In print board, board dot length, board of row dot length. I'm just going to say system dot out dot println board of row and col plus a space, and we don't need to create a new line, only a new line will be after every row has been printed. Just print a new line. That's it. Now we have to think about how would we decide who has won. So we have to check the rows, we have to check the columns, and we check the diagonals. Very simple stuff, as I mentioned already, either the across the, if we can talk about some columns, or we can talk about the diagonals, or we can talk about the rows. So this is very, very simple. So let's say we check the rows. So if we check the rows, I can say for int, just copy paste this, row is equal to 0 and row is less than board.length row plus plus. I can add a condition that if board of row is equal to row and 0, which is, let's say we're checking the first row, and so this will keep on changing, but we're having, let's say, for every single, so this will keep on changing, but we're having it for every single column. So it will check this, then it will check this, then it will check this. So all of these three should be equal. So row of 0 and 1 and 2. So if we're talking about row 0, then 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2. All of these should be equal. To what? Equal to character player. So let's say x, 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 like this. And all three should be equal. I will say return true. Otherwise, check for column. So column, it's also going to be the same because it's 3, 3 only, but for convention's sake, I will write col here. And column wise, this will be fixed for every, because we're iterating over the column, right? So 2, 1, 0. Then you can return true. If you want, you can do it like this for convention's sake. Now diagonal. Diagonal. So for diagonal, I can just say that if board of 0, 0, 1, 1 and 2, 2, 0, 0, 1, 1 and 2, 2, and 0, 2, 1, 1, 2, 0. If those are same, then you can return true. So if board of 0, 0 is equal to player and board of 1, 1 is equal to player and this is equal to player, return true. One, 1, 2, 2. Otherwise, this diagonal, so 0, 2, and then 1, 1, and then we have 2, 0. Okay, that sounds good. If none of these conditions are true, then just return false. That's it. And when I saved it, it formatted it automatically, so that's good. That's basically about it. That's our program. Okay, one more thing I can do is when I'm printing the board, I can actually print a dash here so that it's more visible. Let's run this. Player X, enter. Let's say 0, 0. So now my board is over here. Player 0, enter. 1, 1. So I'm over here. Player X, enter. Let's say 2, 0. So over here, now player 0, enter. Player 0 will enter. Let's say I want to I don't want X to win. So I will enter 1, 0. Now player X will enter, let's say I don't want 0 to win. So I can maybe add, or I can just, just for fun's sake, I can just write 0, 2. Now 0 will win. So yeah, 1, 2. So player 0 has 1. That's it. Simple game. Okay. So try it out, and you can make a GUI as well if you want using some applications. But yeah, very simple game, and